You know, I don't think people realize how mean Pumpkinhead actually looked. Not necessarily the movie suit, this version, because this version feels like the thing people remember in their nightmares after the movie's over. So this is the Randy Bowen sculpted Pumpkinhead by Geometric Design. And this feels more than just like a model kit to me. This feels like a part of monster history because, you know, people still, look for these things today, obviously, or I wouldn't have one. This is one of those pieces that people remembered. And when you start digging into the story behind Geometric, the comic book and everything tied to all these, that's where it gets to be a real interesting story. It becomes way bigger than just a resin monster model kit, in my opinion. Look at this. Look at the detail. And you got to remember, this is like 1/8. 1/8 for Pumpkinhead, I'm saying. So it might be a little bigger than your average 1/8, but it's not like a full blown 1/6. And now you see the separation lines right there. Now, I was speaking to Mr. George Stevenson, previous owner, the owner of Geometric when it was still around. And he told me for this one, the first kit, they attempted to do in-house casting, and it didn't come out to his satisfaction, basically, is what he told me. So that's why you have, the teeth still, but a separate joint for the whole head there. And I had bought this model off of John Dennett, another great master sculptor, and he had told me that he already glued some of it together and stuff. So that's why this is already like this. But look at the detail in the skin by Randy Bowen. Beautifully done. Beautifully done. Little seam lines, little seamage. All that detail. Let's take a look at one of the hands here. Look at the, and like you see now, this is not very big. This is only like the size of my hand. The claws are getting good. We got a little bit of flashing, but not much. Some just piece of sandpaper knockoff. Detail in the veins. There we go. The wrinkles in the skin, vein going down the arm. The base. Let's look at the base here real quick. Nice, heavy nameplate. Nice, heavy texture. The wood's not even like a real rotted floor. Like if you've seen the movie, you remember the church scene where he went into the old church and grabbed a piece of wood that was shaped like a cross and started smashing it because they thought he couldn't go in the church, and he was like, "Ha ha ha! I'll show you." Beautifully done by Mr. Bowen. And I still got to show this back part of the wall because I love the texture on this. Beautifully done. Wall broken down. Put. Beautiful, beautiful detail. And you can see we got a little bit of seamage there, nothing major. And he's actually keyed up pretty nice for where they were cut. For the time back in the 90s, early 90s, I call that a damn good scene. I mean, yeah, you got a little putty, not much at all. I think there's another reason why people still look for these kits today. Now, going back to what I said earlier about this being scarier than the movie suit, don't get me wrong. Do not get me wrong. The Stan Winston Pumpkinhead suit is legendary, but it has limitations because you have to put a person inside of it, you know. At least this is my opinion. So that's why you see, you know, the deeper recesses, the more gaunt, demonic looking aspects in the sculpture. You know, this reminds me of one time I was on the phone talking to Tim Gore. God rest his soul. But he told me that he got to work on a life-size Pumpkinhead replica for Anne Rice. Man, I bet that was something to see. But yeah. So I'm not not downplaying the Stan Winston Pumpkinhead at all. Now here we got the box art and a build-up. You know, these things are hard to find on the internet. Unfortunately, I don't have the box because I bought it off a private owner, and sometimes it's like that because over the years they throw away the box, the condensed room, and all that. But I want to give a shout out to Scott Johansson because from Model Club TV, because he helped me find a lot of pictures because I couldn't find them on Google. I don't know what magic words he was putting in, but he pulled it up. So thank you, Scott. It's the original box art, and I have no idea who built it up. It's a little washed out in the picture, but that was the only picture I could find. And yeah, another one for this build just didn't pop up when I was looking. Now, George told me after that they decided to re-release Pumpkinhead, but with a different base. And yeah, yes, I do have notes I'm looking at because this is a lot of stuff going on. And so it's a different base, but it's got some better engineering to it. It was given a little upgrade. Not as much seam lines. This was all, and plus George, from my understanding, what he said, he wasn't casting this anymore. He'd sent this out to get this casted by somebody else. So what he told me is, I believe he brought in William Paquette to go ahead and revamp this, you know, for a little bit of seam work and the molding. And William Paquette also did the new base, from my understanding. Now, do not get this wrong. This is not the base. As a matter of fact, I want to bring this up to you people. Now, I ain't saying I got hornswoggled because I can't remember who I even bought this from. It's been quite a few years. And quite frankly, they may have told me it wasn't the right base. But it does have the Pumpkinhead logo on it. And it's a pumpkin patch. It doesn't have a tree like the real base. And I just found all this out in my research. So, yeah, if you know anything about this base that was obviously made for Pumpkinhead, but it's not this one, please let me know, because this is the exact same sculpt as this. Exact same, Randy Bowen. So, yeah, this one was made for the second one. And you can tell because of the revisions. Obviously, you see this one here. Let's get in on the bench zoom on this. This one here, no two-piece head. Teeth are taken out. Teeth are actually white metal with the fangs. And a little interesting fact I learned about that in my research is they taught us how to do white metal sand casting in middle school, and I thought it was always done like that. And I found out that these were like they had like a little heat resistant rotocast mold that they would do like a bunch of them in or something at a time to save same time. Just a little side note there. But you can see that Mr. Paquette didn't really change anything. He just went in and cleaned things up a little bit, got it so it would mold probably a little better. I was kind of curious out of even both of them why nobody keyed the tail. I mean, I guess you don't need to, but it still fits beautifully. I'm just holding it funky. You can see. So everything's still the same. Still the same with this one. Just one less part here so you could actually mold the whole head. You don't have to worry about mold lock because there ain't no teeth. Less seams because it was passed off to somebody else to do the molding. Now, once again, I don't have the box, obviously, but this is the actual painting used for the box art. George sent me a picture of it that he still has it in his possession, and it is done by Steve Park. That's Park with an E at the end. Yes, Mr. Steve Prince Park, that guy. Awesome artist. And I found a build. The only place I could find a build up, once again, is very hard, was on Facebook. So give a shout out to Anthony Karowitz. I'm sorry if I pronounced your last name wrong. Please don't kill me. But it is a beautiful, beautiful build up there that you have, and I'm sure that you are proud to have that kit. So far on our Pumpkinhead geometric evolution train, we've got the engine over here, the original kit, Randy Bowen. We've got the revisited over here, the Randy Bowen, and a little extra. Not that. That's not the base. And then for the caboose, we got this thing here, the Pumpkinhead Metamorphosis. Wow. Okay, to me, this is where things start to really get interesting because this winged Pumpkinhead was supposed to go a lot further from my research than it ever made it. Okay, so they had 4 movies. The second one was called Blood Wings. And if you've seen it, he doesn't have wings. It got scrapped from the movie. Well, the idea was also passed along to Dark Horse Comics. They had a Pumpkinhead comic book, and it was called The Rites of Exorcism. And it only made like 2 issues, and then I don't know what happened there, but it was done. So I haven't seen the comics. I don't know if he had the wings in the comics or if he got that far yet. I imagine these comics are probably kind of rare. But the story never got finished. So basically, the winged version of Pumpkinhead was like, done. But the idea was that he was basically supposed to evolve somehow and get wings. And honestly, that's another part of this whole wild story that fascinates me is, this may be a look at one of the few looks of what Pumpkinhead would eventually end up looking like had the story got to be finished. So let's go ahead and take a look at this real quick. So geometric, George there, he hired, and don't kill me for mispronunciation, Takayuki Takaya to sculpt this. I can't pronounce his name, but I have seen his name on a lot of old great kits. A beautiful sculptor, and it looks like geometric was in their vinyl phase by this stage. So let's go ahead. I mean, this thing's got a bazillion pieces. Let's just take a quick look real quick. Now, another cool thing about this is, in my opinion, looking at the sculpt, is like America and the East coming together is an Eastern take on a Western idea, and I think it shows that in the sculpture. Same basis idea, even a wound. Look at the detail of this. Beautifully done. Now, here's something I want. This kit was made back in the 90s. And, vinyl. And shout out again to Mr. John Dennett, who I purchased this off of. Thank you for hooking me up, sir. Okay, this is 2 pieces. 2 pieces. Vinyl, a bazillion years old. I don't call that a bad seam at all. But you can see, I can see the Asian sculpt in this. I think you can too. If you was just to hold it like that, it looks like a demon mask. Well, which Pumpkinhead is a demon, or like a dragon or something to me. The head not as naughty and bubbly and stuff as the original. Still got beautiful sculpt. Still got the veins there. It just looks more to me like I can't figure out how to say it with my non-cultured, but like an anime version or something almost. Beautifully sculpted details in the spine. He has a staircase base. There's Ed Harley's son's necklace that he made, Ed. That's because, in my opinion, I don't know, I haven't read the story, but I think that Ed Harley went on to be the next Pumpkinhead, at least from the first one. I don't know if it changed hands in the next 3 movies. I may have started watching the second movie one time. I don't think I can't remember, to be honest with you. I had no idea there were 4 of them. The tail, beautifully done. All the fine detail in there. And here, thank goodness I have the directions of this, because this is all wings. But it has that Eastern flow to it, to me, that skin. Like I said, I can't think of the word for it. Just kind of like an anime. It almost looks like a cartoon that just stopped for a second. But still, I mean, totally terrifying looking monster and beautifully done. Oh, here, I want to get into this. The veins on the arms. But wait, there's more. So this wasn't another model kit, because George actually knew the writers of Pumpkinhead, and the comic book didn't work out and all that. So he asked them if they'd like to finish their story in the instruction booklet. He told me that, he hired all these great artists, which, not lying. Now, I personally can't recognize any of them by name. That's the witch, and it has the story, Pumpkinhead, the Metamorphosis. Chapter 1, Chapter 2 gives a little backstory about it. The conclusion, beautifully illustrated. And thank you, Mr. Dennett, for taking such good care of stuff, because this is just awesome to have in my hands. Beautiful artwork. And, I'm going to have to read this. I haven't even read this yet, and I've owned this for like probably 4 or 5 years. Jay Groman, that sounds familiar, but we have the witch once again after the metamorphosis has taken place. Or the old hillbilly witch. She's a witch. Another beautiful picture right there. More story and the acknowledgments, all the artists. And it's a letter by George, and all the rights for MGM, all the legal jargon. And then we have the beautiful, beautiful directions, which I am so glad of, because there is like 9,000 pieces to this puzzle. But it gives you tips, use a hair dryer, suggested paint scheme. Beautifully done for like somebody that may be just starting out back in the day. You know what I mean? And so the beautiful special thing about this to me is it just wasn't treated like another kit. It was treated like an event. Like at least that's how it makes me feel. Like a finishing for the story, completion, closure. You know, that's what it feels like. It almost feels like a movie premiere or something. You know, the story that never got to be finished. And honestly, this is the kind of stuff I live for because, you know, I just got into this hobby maybe like 5-6 years ago, top. So to me, I love these old kits to get into not just the kit, but to find out the stories behind it, the sculptors, you know, just all the crazy stuff that went on in the garage kit industry and how they came up with this stuff. And to me, that's 80% of the fun of it, you know, because I'm playing catch up, you know, and I want to know just what everybody else knows and maybe even some stuff other people don't know. So in my personal opinion, I think that's why people still go after geometric kits to this day, because they were good. They were great kits. They didn't put out junk, you know, Blackheart to this day. You know, George owns Blackheart. It doesn't put out junk. I see all the time people looking for the Gorgon and Medusa, you know, the old Clash of the Titans stuff. Looking for this stuff all the time still today. And, you know, like I've said before, I'm not downplaying the Stan Winston monster team there at all. No way, shape, or form. Beautiful, beautiful, most excellent job. This wouldn't even be here if it wasn't for them. I just think that this one, it gets to the raw essence of the demon because it's not limited by having to fit a person inside. You know, you have to make room for a person inside, and they can only bend certain ways. And that's just, to me, a way demonic, eviler looking version to me. Beautifully, beautifully done. You know what? Let's go on and get you guys out of here. And videos like this is one of the reasons why I do it. I hope it was a bit more than just a model review video for you guys. I hope you may have learned something or just maybe have brought back some memories. It's just what I like to do, man. This was like a great video for me. If you've made it this far and you're new, please go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. It helps the channel out immensely. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you as always. And I want to hit you guys with one thing here real quick. Mr. John Dennett included this in the Metamorphosis kit when he sold it to me as just an extra. Now you notice it says Pumpkinhead MGM license. You open it up. Flashlight. Pumpkinhead. Doesn't have battery in it. Anyways, my question is to you, because I tried this. Google this. See if you can find a picture of another one of these. Do it. If you can't, leave it in the comments. Let me know. I could not find another picture of this. I even had the AI try to find another picture of one of these. Nada. Okay. Sorry about that, but I got excited. All right. That's it. Be good to each other. Model on.